Welcome back to the channel. I'm Colin and this is a review of the ZiiGaat Lush. Similar to the ZiiGaat Arete I reviewed previously, the Lush also has one dynamic driver and 4 BA drivers. With the two IEMs being so similar, I'll compare the Lush along with the Arete in this review, as they are actually very comparable in many aspects. The first obvious difference between the two is the price. As of the time of the review, the Lush retails for $199 and the Arete goes for $249. The price is the first factor differentiating the two IEMs. Despite having a similar look and driver configuration, the Lush is quite a bit cheaper. So here's how the packaging looks like on the Lush. Inside you'll find the IEMs. The zippered pouch is exactly the same as the one that came with the Arete. You get the same set of orange tips and a pair of foam tips. The cable is also the same. Now let's talk about the build and fit. Obviously the Lush has a different gray faceplate and the Arete has a blue faceplate. But other than that, the 3D printed resin shell is exactly the same. The dimensions and the vents are also exactly the same. One tiny difference between them is the nozzle. The nozzle on the Lush is just a smidge wider, and the metal finishing on the nozzle is slightly different. The Lush has a more matte finishing, and the nozzle of the Arete is polished. With the build being so similar as you would expect, they fit similarly as well. They both have very good isolation, but one thing I noticed on the Lush is that it has some driver flex, which was not apparent on the Arete. To me, driver flex doesn't really bother me, but if you're someone that hates driver flex, the Arete might be a better option for you. Inside the Lush, it features a 10mm PET diaphragm dynamic driver and 4 BA drivers, similar to the Arete. They both feature one dynamic driver and 4 BA drivers. But instead of a PET diaphragm dynamic driver, the Arete uses a biocellulose diaphragm dynamic driver. The Lush doesn't specify which BA driver it uses, while the Arete uses Knowles drivers. So I guess here's why the Lush is cheaper than the Arete despite having a similar driver configuration. ZiiGaat managed to save costs by using lower priced drivers on the Lush. Now let's talk about the sound quality. I personally don't like to measure the IEMs before I write this part of the review, as I don't want to have any kind of bias from the reading into the measurements. So this part of the review was written before I measured the Lush. It is also somewhat a comparison with the Arete, as I just recently reviewed them. The Lush is a smooth sounding IEM. The overall sound presentation sounds quite neutral to my ears. There is some emphasis in the bass and treble region, but I feel it's overall a less V-shaped sound when compared to the Arete. Technicalities are very good in the Lush for $149. It's super resolving and can reveal lots of details, even in complex tracks. What immediately caught my attention when I listened to the Lush was the soundstage presentation and the spaciousness of the sound. There's a sense of airiness in the upper mids and treble region which I did not get in the Arete. The soundstage depth and width and the space between instruments also sounded more apparent with the Lush, which is rather surprising considering the price of the IEMs. I think the Lush has the best soundstage presentation among the IEMs I tried under $300. Let's talk about the bass now. The bass on the Lush is slightly raised. It sounds quick and snappy. It doesn't hit as hard or linger on for as long when compared to the Arete. So if you're a bass head, you'll probably enjoy the Arete more for its hard-hitting bass. It's also easier to listen for details in the bass with the Arete due to its frequency response. But what you get in exchange in the Lush is a cleaner mid-range. The mid-range of the Lush is very clean and precise. As I mentioned earlier, it also is able to sound really airy when the track presents it, which I think it does better than the Arete. Compared to the Arete, the Lush sounds airier and smoother. In contrast, the vocals of the Arete sounds a little further behind. When we talk about the treble of the Lush, I think it is a continuation of the characteristics of the mids in the Lush. Neutral sounding or even slightly rolled off. That being said, it's still very technical and resolving, just slightly laid back. In comparison, the Arete has a more aggressive tuning overall, and especially in the treble. Technically, I think they are similar though. As I said in the beginning, the Lush is a very technical IEM. Let's look at the measurements. Here's the graph of the Lush. It's a so-called meta-tuning, with the bass and the treble region measuring a bit flatter than the Harman curve. Here, around the 1K region, it actually measures quite linear. I didn't consider the mid-range of the Lush to be warm. It sounded neutral to me, and it shows in the measurement. Last, in the treble region, it's quite tamed when compared to the Harman curve. Quite relaxed and laid back. Now when we compare it to the Arete, we can see that they actually have a quite similar tuning style. The difference is that there's approximately a plus 3 decibel bass shelf for the Arete, and the bass of the Arete slopes a bit later than the Lush. For the mid-range, both of them are pretty linear, but the Arete actually rises up much earlier around the 1K region, which brightens up the sound a bit and gives it a bit of graininess. Vocals can also sound shouty on some tracks. The treble is also quite a bit hotter than the Lush, which can be fatiguing to people who are sensitive to sibilants. So who are these for? By now, I think you probably know which you are leaning towards. I think the Lush is for someone that likes a smooth and neutral sound. If you prioritize a good soundstage and sense of depth, you will really like the Lush. For the Arete, it's for someone that likes an exciting sound. It has an exciting treble and great bass. These would be great if you use them for monitoring or gaming as well, due to the rise in the 1K region. You'll be able to pick up flaws in the recordings or maybe footsteps when gaming more easily. Every product has its cons. There are 3 cons that I found on the Lush. Some of them I've already talked about. So let's go straight to the point. First, there's driver flex in the Lush. It doesn't really affect the overall experience, but some of you really care about this, so I think it's important to mention it. Second, the cable and the zippered pouch just isn't as nice as other IEMs in this price range. I complained about this in the Arete when I reviewed it, and I think the Lush, having the same pouch and cable, is still lacking behind in this compartment compared to its competition. Third, this isn't really a con, but more of a preference. If you're someone that likes exciting sounding IEMs, the Lush might be a bit too flat for you. Consider the Arete instead. Originally, I just wanted to make a review of the Lush, but I couldn't talk about it without mentioning the Arete as they are so similar, so it ended up being a comparison/review. In conclusion, I think the Lush is a very compelling IEM. It's cheaper than the Arete, but judging the IEMs just by its sound, I honestly don't think it's inferior. The Lush is a great choice for those looking for a smooth sounding and highly technical set. So this is the end of my review and comparison. If you're interested in checking out the Arete, I've linked my review of it in the description below. Let me know if you have any questions about the IEMs in the comments below. If you found this video useful, please like this video and subscribe to the channel. I have a lot of IEM reviews coming up in the next few weeks. I'll see you in the next video.